Hello, everybody. Good day. Welcome to the Toon Under Pod. Newcastle 2, Brentford 1. The first football match in what seems like a long time. It almost feels like a new season. Of course, we've been celebrating, we've been enjoying everything, but it's definitely nice to have the football back for this, what is really like a mini season within a season now. It's felt like a long time since that cup final, which is not a problem, of course. It's been a nice time for us, but definitely nice to have the football back, isn't it, Mark? And it was a good one to come back to.
Yeah, it was good. It was it's been a long while between drinks in terms of league football, so it's nice to have that back. I was starting to run out of cup final content to watch. Starting to not completely filled out though. So it's been a bit of a surreal couple of weeks. Yeah, I could get used to this.
I think it was nice, wasn't it, to have this break? It would not have been nice if we'd lost
Yeah.
the cup final, of course. But then the way the fixtures worked with the FA Cup weekend and the international break, it just means we've been able to revel in it. Of course, they had the big celebrations on Saturday. And then, I don't know, I wasn't 100% sold about doing that now because we're still in the middle of the season. But when you saw the scenes and you saw how it all went off, I don't think anyone can complain about that. And I think as well, what it might have done is just underlined it and put a full stop to that now. And we don't have to, we're not going to think about that again till the end of the season. And I think certainly Eddie Howe will have made sure, won't he, that the players are not hungover and they're not thinking about that glory anymore for these important games.
According to him, it was like the next day he was already planning stuff for the Brentford game in true Eddie Howe fashion. Just can't switch off. He's always looking forward to the next 3 points, the next game, the next tactical stuff that he needs to sort out. So it was absolutely surreal scenes. I've watched it so many times. I've got so many pictures saved on my phone from what people have posted, and it was just so good to see so many people out enjoying it. And it's just this like cork released from the club's pressure kind of thing, where it's been pent up for so long, and the pressure was there. And I think the players felt it, the fans felt it, and just to have that release and finally have something to celebrate. And 300,000 turning out between the Newcastle City Centre and the Town Mall was just next level batshit. So just fair play, credit to all the Newcastle fans that turned up. I was so jealous, and I would have definitely been there if I'd been over there. But it's good to kind of put us on the map. And I think Lee was saying that sort of scenes beamed around the world, and it's been on Channel 9 News here, and it'll have been, I was on ESPN and then a few stations over in the US. That's going to make an impact. It's made a statement about the club, and I'm sure we'll get a fair few fans on the back of just, holy crap, yeah, we want to be a part of that if they win something again.
As well as players looking at that and either thinking, I fancy a bit more of this, or I fancy getting involved with that as well. I don't think you can't underestimate those scenes. I think the photos of the bus winding through past St James's Park and the big Tifo flag of Eddie Howe, the whole thing was just pretty incredible, wasn't it, really? And I guess when you've got that there's a risk that you can become distracted, and there's a risk that the next game might be a bit of a after the Lord Mayor's show sort of situation. But that's not how it turned out. This was a really important win in the context of the season, the battle for Champions League. Where would you sort of rank this win in terms of importance from this season? Obviously, it's fresh in the mind now, but this season in terms of wins, where would you put this one right now?
It's obviously difficult to say straight after a cup final win, but I guess the big thing for me was this. I said before the game, this could have gone either way. It was either going to be, right, we're up for this and the crowd's going to lift everyone and we're going to ride this wave of positivity through and we're going to absolutely annihilate them, or we were going to be so caught up in the celebrations of the cup final that this was kind of like an afterthought and we just don't turn up and get stuffed off Brentford. It was a bit of a weird game, and we'll get into that, where we did actually play really well in parts, but the result itself for me is up there with some of the best games that we've had this season, purely and simply because it was such an important statement to kind of draw a line under that cup final celebration, get back on with the league, and put ourselves in really good contention for the rest of the season, to challenge for that top 4, top 5. We still don't know exactly what's happening, but potentially top 5 for Champions League. We've given ourselves the best possible chance of that, and just to kind of come out and really put a statement in, I think it could have easily been this huge banana skin for us, and just to get over that line and really prove that, well, no, we are still focused as a team, as a club. Huge result, huge game.
I think if you look at the last 3 results in sort of in isolation of each other as well, Liverpool, obviously the cup final, when there's never going to be another day where any of us don't think about that. It was just the best thing ever. But then I think the West Ham result before that cup final, that kind of went under the radar a little bit because of the cup final coming up. But that win against West Ham, obviously the 3 points were important, but that gave us confidence going into the cup final. And also it lifted us up the table as well. Like if we hadn't have won that, we'd have been down possibly 8th, 9th, and with how tight the table is.
Yeah.
So for all sorts of reasons, I think that was a really underrated victory, because it wasn't the best game as well, but we popped up and Bruno scored the goal. And I think that was a massive result. Then there was a cup final, and then there's this. So the last 3 results have all been massive results in their own way. And I think for this one especially, because this is exactly the kind of game we've struggled in at St James's Park this season. We've lost to West Ham, Brighton, Bournemouth and Fulham. And I know that, West Ham are not having a good season, but the other 3 clubs are kind of there or thereabouts in the middle of the table. So we don't have a problem getting up for the big games against the big clubs, but we've struggled in these games against the sort of middle of the road clubs. And the Premier League's changed because these mid-table clubs are really good now. They've got good players, they're well coached, they just know what they're doing. And I think Brentford were no different with it, but I think it was massive that we managed to get over the line and win this game in the context of losing those other similar games like this early in the season.
Well, I think we started like a house on fire in the game, and the crowd was up for it. The players had obviously responded to that. And I think the big thing was we didn't get that early breakthrough, and then Brentford started to come back into the game, and we had created chances. We just couldn't take them. Isak could have had a hat-trick in the first half, let's be fair. And it was one of those things where I think in previous games, like where we've had teams sit deep, try and soak up pressure, try and hit us on the counter-attack, which was pretty much what Brentford were trying to do most of the game. We've seen before where we've come unstuck against those teams where we seem to run out of ideas and we run out of momentum and kind of really start struggling for ideas. But like, credit to the players, we didn't let our heads drop when we didn't score early. We actually kept pushing, and obviously the breakthrough came. It was really good to see that the attitude was there, and we kind of seemed to, we kind of fed off each other in terms of the players on the pitch and the crowd in the stands. It was definitely like ebb and flow at times where the players were kind of getting a bit down. The fans would pick them up. The fans would get a bit quiet. The players would do something. The fans would get back out on their game. So it was really good to see the overall performance, I think, in terms of just how easily we could have just let it slip away, and we didn't. We kept on fighting.
Yeah, and there is one particular reason why we ended up winning this game, which we'll talk about a bit later, because I think we might be talking about that particular incident for quite some time. But yeah, like you just said, the first half was quite well controlled. Brentford had a few corners, but that was pretty much it. They were on the counter attack. And then something I think was really pleasing for us, and it's a bit of a pattern as well this season, that we scored a disallowed goal, which is where Isak really should have probably scored himself. He was doing that thing where he was trying to take everybody on again. But then he put it over to Barnes, who actually wasn't that far offside because he was almost level with Isak. But yeah, so there was that, and then the disappointment of that. And then just like against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup semi-final, and just like against Liverpool in the final, straight after a disallowed goal, we went up the end and we scored a legit goal. So I think that shows character when you have that disappointment and you can get over it, and you can keep going and score another goal. And especially just before half time, that was probably pretty much the perfect time to score, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, smack bang on half time again, and it's like same as the Dan Burn goal in the cup final. It was that perfect time, going at the break, a goal up, and get a chance to kind of regroup, but with the knowledge that, well, hang on, we've got something to hang on to here, and gives all the players a bit of a boost. I mean, Harvey Barnes did his nut at one point at Isak not squaring the ball to him when he was in acres of space, and easy goal if he'd done that. But you know, like, you can't exactly blame the guy for trying to do some magic. He's bailed us out enough this season. He's worth a couple of tries now and again.
Yeah. Yeah, quite. And it's a bit like this happened in other games this season. He did it against probably Spurs away, where he wasn't having his best game, and he still scored. He's done it in a few different games. There was a home game he did it as well, where he wasn't playing very well, but he still popped up and scored a goal. So he actually became the first Newcastle player to get back-to-back 20 goals in Premier League seasons. So here's his stats. When he first came in, he had 10 goals from 27 appearances, 22 starts. Last season, he got 21 goals from 33 appearances, with 30 of them starts. And this season, he's on 20 goals in 26 games, which have all been starts. He's had a few little injuries. He's just phenomenal, isn't he? I think we can't really. It still doesn't feel like a real thing that we've got probably the best striker in the world, or at least up there in the top three, playing for Newcastle, does it? And I know
No,
we get annoyed with him
crazy.
being linked away and all that sort of stuff, but we've just got to enjoy him for now, haven't we? Because he's an elite footballer who can create goals, score goals, even when he's not playing that well. He's an absolute joy, isn't he?
I think it's natural that you're going to get links with players away to. So, I mean, the top clubs in the world are after him because he is that good, and you know, it is a. I said this morning on Twitter or Twix or X or whatever the hell it's called these days. Cheers, Elon. It's like, it's a pinch me moment every time you kind of get some of these players turning out for us in the black and white shirts. And Isak's kind of up the top of that list, and we'll talk about the second goal in a minute, because he's another one that is like absolutely world class at the moment in Tonali. And you know, Isak, it's kind of flattering to get those links, but it's more when it gets into the entitlement, and that, well, hang on, we're going to completely lowball you because you've got no right to have this player. He belongs at our club. That's where it gets annoying for fans, I think. And it's the daily articles, because they know it's clickbait. They know people are going to react because it's a hot topic. So yeah, it is frustrating. I think the Newcastle fans probably need to take a little bit of solace from the fact that he's got plenty of time left on his contract. We've got an owner, the chairman of the club, linked with PIF. He's basically turned around and said it's his favorite player. He doesn't want him to be sold. There's talk where it's like, you know, we're not even putting a number on him because we're just not entertaining the fact that he's going anywhere. It's up to us to match that, and in terms of not only increasing our revenue so we can offer the wages and the contracts that some of these other clubs can afford, but it's up to us to match ambitions in terms of qualifying for the Champions League, and that's what it's all about. But for the moment, just sit back and enjoy him, because it is absolutely fantastic having that, as you said, like one of, if not the best striker in the world at the moment playing for Newcastle. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and 3 years ago I had Dwight Gale playing, you know.
Yeah.
So it's but if anyone says that this has taken too long, this whole process, you could just point to that fact. But
yeah,
it just shows good recruitment from us as well, that we took the gamble. And it was a bit of a gamble, because he was coming off a season where he'd only scored 6 goals for Sociedad. He'd scored 17 the season before.
Yeah.
But I think our talent spotting is pretty unrivaled, and he's just been phenomenal, and it's such a joy to watch him. I think he does still have 3 years left on his contract as well, so I'm not worried about him necessarily being sold this summer. I think maybe next summer might be more of an issue. But the fact is, you know, he's good enough to be playing for the Champions League, for a club that can compete to win the Champions League as well. So if he wants to do that, and if we aren't at that level in the next few years, then who knows? But yeah, like I said, let's just enjoy him for now, because like I said, even when he's not playing well and he didn't have his best game, he still scores goals. Against Liverpool in the Cup, he was a bit peripheral for most of it. and he still popped up and scored a goal. So you can't value those kind of players highly enough. It's like Haaland and Salah. You don't take them off really unless they're injured, because they can score at any time, no matter how they're playing. And it just means when he does play well, he's an absolute phenomenon. So so it was a good goal. Another Murphy assist as well, which was nice. So it was actually a really nice move. There was a bit of a back heel from Joe Linton, and then it went to Bruno, out to Murphy, and it was a pretty good goal. I don't know why Mbeumo was marking Isak, but he was, and he fell over. But yeah, it was a really good time to score, and it gave us that boost going in for half time. Second half, though, we did lose control, and this has been a pattern as well, where in those other games I mentioned, the second halves have been difficult, and Eddie had referenced that, but in the cup final, I think he'd said at half time to the players, this is where we struggle usually in the first 15, 20 minutes after half time. And obviously the exact opposite went and happened in the cup final. But it's a danger, isn't it, when you're playing these teams who had conserved a bit of energy by sitting back, and they've always got dangerous players. You started noticing Mbeumo and Wissa a bit more, and the midfield started getting on the ball. And we just kind of lost our way a bit, didn't we? And it's not the first time it's happened this season. And it happened again where they went and got a goal. Like, they had a few chances, the warning signs were there, and then it was it was just a mistake by Pope. I think there wasn't many complaints about the penalty.
No.
And then it was funny, the graphic flashed up showing where Mbeumo puts his penalties. All 6 of his previous penalties had been to the left-hand side. And I know he does that stupid hop, skip, jump thing, but surely Pope will have done his research. He'll have known that that's what he does. So yeah, I don't know. But anyway, it was a deserved goal for them, wasn't it, back in the game at that point? And it was disappointing at that stage how we lost control of it.
It's one of those things where I don't know if it's us sitting back because we're a goal up and we just want to see if we can soak up some pressure and get our breath back or get our legs back, or whether it's because, as you said, the other team have been doing that and now they're kind of just pushing forward and we need to adapt our game maybe quicker or something. I'm sure Eddie Howe's trying his best to figure out why it's happening, because it is a regular occurrence now, as you said. And yeah, Brentford definitely got back into the game well and truly. There was some talk where, has Pope not really reached enough for the ball to make contact with the ball because he's worried about his shoulder? Maybe, who knows? It's one of those things where it happens in a blink of an eye. It's easier to criticize a goalkeeper because usually when they make a mistake, it results in a goal or a penalty or something like that. It's fine if you're a forward and you sky the ball over the net and then you kind of, we'll just wait till the next one. As a defender and a goalkeeper, you're always under a lot more scrutiny for your mistakes just because of what's at risk at the other end of the pitch. So I didn't get the why he didn't. He's basically gone to the exact same side as every other keeper's obviously gone to, as you said. It reminded me of the bit in Blackadder Goes Forth where General Melchit's sort of saying to Blackadder, it's like, yes, it's like we've done this 11 times before, and it's like under cover of bright light or something, and we're going to charge forward at the enemy, and it's really slowly, and it's like literally like it's the last thing they're going to expect us to do again after we've done it all these other times before. And it's like, well, yeah, but it's actually worked this time. I just didn't get it. It's like, if you're a goalkeeper, you should be knowing like the penalty takers of the other team, where they're going to be putting their penalties, and if you've got that many going in, every single ball going in the same direction, just go that way. And if you get beaten the other side, well, so be it, but at least play the odds kind of thing. So for me, it's just it is a little bit weird that he's gone that way, but glad it didn't turn out to cost us.
Yeah, and Mbeumo, even though he does that stupid thing, that's the way he obviously likes to go. So yeah, he could have just dived to the left, and it probably would have just been a save, and he would have looked stupid, unless he had sort of changed his mind at the last minute. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a goalkeeper coach, so who knows? And obviously the odds are in the attacker's favor, and he scores all of them in Mbeumo, so he's obviously good at them. But they hit the post or the bar very soon after this with Ethan Pinnock header. And it definitely started to feel like it was one of those games where we'd lost momentum and we'd lost control, and we were going to lose. That's how it felt at that point. And then out of absolutely nowhere, this was only 10 minutes after they scored. I don't really know what to say about this. Nobody obviously expected it. Like, it just looked like it was just sort of like normal build-up. And I've got one of my friends was there in the Gallagher, and he said it just looked like, sort of like nondescript, slow kind of build-up. And it came to Barnes, who just passed it to Tonali, who was basically at the corner flag. And he's just absolutely laced it. And it was his laces into the near post. I don't think anyone understood what had happened for a moment, because it just didn't seem like that was possible. But you saw the net ripple, and then the ball was out the net, and he was standing on the hoardings, and it was a goal. And absolutely everyone was taken by surprise. I thought there's no way that hasn't taken a deflection, because I thought I'd heard it take two, like to hit twice as well. But you look at the replay behind, and it didn't. He just absolutely laced it into the top corner. Did he mean it, Mark? I know there's some debate about this, and there's some quotes from him. Was this a cross? Was it a shot? It doesn't matter. It was a goal. But did he mean to do it?
I don't even know why he was out that wide in the first place, to be honest. But yeah, to take that on, the thing is, he looks up. He obviously sees that there's nothing much on. Eddie Howe reckons he's been pinging these in training, so he's obviously done it in training from that range. Whether or not that's a bit of a piss take from Eddie, I don't know. But Tonali's come out and said 70% shot, 70% cross, 30% shot. He's quite a modest bloke, so who knows? Maybe he's just not trying to make himself out to be the hero that he obviously is. Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, he looks up. The thing that gets me is he looks up. There's nobody in the box. There's nobody coming into the box. There's no players there for him to have put a cross in at that pace. It's come off his laces. He's properly put his foot through the ball, and it's just rifled at the goal. The keeper, it's past the keeper before he even realizes what's happened. But as you said, it's like, I think everybody, the commentary team, everyone was watching it, just going like, that's taken a massive deflection past the keeper. And it was like, no, it hasn't. That's just an absolute rocket of a shot. And yeah, fair play to him for taking that on. No doubt he'll be getting shoot cries from the crowd every time he gets the ball wide.
He likes playing Brentford, obviously. He scored the goals in the cup as well. But the thing that makes me think this was at least partially intentional is that Sandro Tonali is a world-class footballer. You don't cross a ball like that anyway. You don't leather it with your laces when there's nobody in the box. If he wants to put a cross in, he'll put a cross in, and it would be a good cross because he's a world-class footballer. So whether he's just thought, I'm just going to have a go here, there's nothing on, I'm just going to, maybe not I'm going to shoot, but I'm just going to hammer it as hard as I can towards the goal, and maybe something might happen. That's maybe what he's talking about if he says it's 70-30.
He's probably tried to hit it at the keeper, hoping that it's hard enough. The keeper can't grab it. It bounces out, and then someone on the rebound can kind of tuck it home or something. That's potentially what I think was going through his head. We'll just leather it at the keeper and see what happens, and hopefully we get a rebound. But yeah, it's just gone past the keeper before he even knew what was happening. Absolutely outstanding. And as you said, Tonali, absolutely world-class player as well. To have him and Isak, Bruno, Trippier's back to his best at the moment as well. Tino, there's so many players that, as you said, 3-4 years ago, there's no way we'd be even dreaming of having this level of players playing for us, let alone be kind of happy to be here and loving playing for the club. They'd be all putting the transfer requests in and wanting to move on because they've been sold a stepping stone club from Mike Ashley or whatever. So yeah, just drink it in. It's absolutely magnificent at the moment.
Yeah, I think our season really took off, or it started getting good in that run or in December time. And that was when Tonali and Bruno switched around and Tonali went back into that deeper role. His overall performance in this game was very strong, as it has been in most games, and basically as it is in most games. Do you remember when we had guys like Paul Dummett, and you'd say he's a consistent 6, 7 out of 10. He doesn't really let you down. He doesn't ever do anything spectacular. Tonali's like a consistent 9 out of 10, isn't he? That's what, and that's the difference. That's world-class footballers. That's what they do. He was when he first started. He was finding his feet, I think, and he was trying to find his position and his role in the team. but there was never any doubt on his quality. Now that he's part of that midfield, that functioning midfield, he never ever plays less than probably an 8 out of 10. And even when he makes a few mistakes, like he did, he lost the ball in quite a bad position. He won it back, you know. He's just brilliant, isn't he? He fits this system so well. We had to do without him for a while.
I want to ask you as well, because there's one of the things that I've noticed is it feels to me like, and as much as I love Bruno and his antics at the celebrations on the Town Moor will go down in history. You know, he's definitely loves the club. He revels in the captaincy. I find myself watching him try maybe too hard at times at the moment to manufacture something out of nothing. And it's like he's guilty of giving the ball away on occasion because he's trying that Hollywood pass maybe once too often during the games. But it's nice to have players like him and Tonali who are not only capable of pinging those balls around, but they're willing to try it out. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't come off, because the one time it does, you're guaranteed a goal. So it's nice for them to have that mental strength, I guess, to take that on and go, well, look, I'm going to try this, because if we don't try it, we're not going to break these teams down. And I think, as you said, like them sort of finding their feet in terms of the tactics in the side and who's playing where, and you can see there's that link up and understanding, and they're filling in for each other when one's moving forward and the other one sits back now. It feels a lot more natural for them. And when we look at the teams like Brentford, like some of these other clubs that have sat deep, you need players like that who are able to kind of unlock the defense, so to speak. And we've missed that when they haven't been playing well. So to see them willing to kind of try those balls, yes, it's frustrating when it doesn't come off, but just to have players that are capable of those sorts of passes and that sort of vision is something else at the moment.
Yeah, and Bruno tried a few that didn't come off, you know, but he was trying those sort of neat passes around their box, and they just got cut out. And like you said, that's going to happen. But if it does come off, which often for Bruno it does, then it's a goal or it's a chance. Yeah, so that's what I remember when we signed Tonali, some of his passing stats were not the best, like his completed passes. But that's for exactly that reason, because he's trying forward passes. He's not playing it safe. If he played for Man City, he'd have a 100% pass record, you know, because he would just keep the ball, pass it around in the triangles, and then that's how or the old Man City, that's how they would operate. But yeah, like we need players who are going to have some creativity and who are going to try things. And when you've got both of them, even if one of them's not having the best game, like Bruno didn't have his best game, Joe Linton probably wasn't at his best either today. But when you've got three of them that good in the midfield, one of them's probably going to play well. And if one of them plays well, you're probably going to win, you know? If two of them play well, you're definitely going to win. If three of them play well, you're going to hammer somebody. Yeah. So, you know, that's just, that's what comes with having this good a midfield. And then we've got Lewis Miley, you know, and Willock. They've got different attributes as well. And we've still got Sean Longstaff, who could do a job in certain circumstances. But yeah, like I think this season will be remembered, obviously, for the cup win, but also for Tonali's emergence as really a world-class midfielder, you know, after his ban and his renaissance, probably, you would say, from that. And he was brilliant today. You've mentioned a couple of the other standout performances. Do you want to talk about Tino? He played really well again, out of position again. Brilliant.
Yeah, I think I mentioned on the group chat today, it's like he's out the last 3 games. He's had Jared Bowen, Salah, and then now Mbumo, who, like, you know, everyone's after in the summer because he's an outstanding right winger as well, right attacker, you know, and he's literally kept them all really quiet. That he hasn't offered up any chances to them, and he's playing out of position as well. He's a right back that's playing at left back because Hall's injured, and just the way he's defending, he's getting forward when he can. He's not as natural as an attacker from that fullback position as maybe Trippier is, and I think that's potentially where some of his criticism earlier on in the season has come from, is that he's not Trippier, but no one is. He is probably more defensively solid than Trippier, I think. He's just not going to be as attack-minded, but he's getting there. And I think on the left, he's really kind of linking up well with, Harvey Barnes this morning. And, he's just... He just seems to be growing every time we see him at the moment. And yeah, for the last 3 games, I thought he was outstanding in the cup final. I'm pretty sure Salah's still not out of his pocket yet. And yeah, today, like Mbumo was pretty quiet, and he's linking up well. He's putting some good balls in the box as well, from some of the play that is in the link up play. He's obviously, I mean, he's next to Dan Burn as well. Dan Burn's not the quickest, so Tino's actually like covering for Dan Burn with the pace as well. Yeah, it's just great to see. But I'm actually really impressed with Trippier in terms of his renaissance as well, because he had a bit of a dip in form there, and we all know that was some off-field suggestions doing the rounds. But he since he's came back in the side, he has been absolutely back to his best in terms of his play. But holy crap, do we miss his leadership when he's not out there?
Yeah, I was going to make that exact same point. Really, there's been some games lately, Arsenal semi-final, he was just next level. And his leadership's always a miss, but the team used to be very reliant on Trippier for the attacking patterns and the way that we attacked and the way we played. And that's why it was a big problem when he lost form or when he wasn't playing, because the whole structure of the team had to change. But now we've got the different midfield, and we've got Isak, who's better than what he was. Things are a bit different now as well. But yeah, he's slotted back in, and he's been really good. You know what you're going to get with him, and he's definitely picked his form back up. It's such a good thing that we didn't sell him, and I know that there was a lot of talk that maybe we should have taken the money from buy-in, but I think his value behind the scenes is unrivaled as well, and I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's got another option for another year in his contract. So,
well, from what he's been interviewed, and he's already said it's like, look, we need to bring Champions League back, and I want to do another Champions League stint with the club. So, he's obviously going to be pushing for that. He wants another run in the Champions League with us. So, yeah, long may it continue.
He knows as well that he's probably, if everyone's fit, he's probably second choice as well. And that's fine. But I think Tino's been better at left back than he has been at right back this season.
I genuinely do as well.
And that's that's very useful going forward as well. Lewis Hall's going to have that position hopefully for the next decade. But if you've got Tino who can fill in there as well, then that's only a good thing. Barnes as well. I think Anthony Gordon's going to have a job to get back in the team. I know we were worried about Barnes because he hasn't been that good really. Like he scores goals and he still has output, but I think the defensive side of his game lacked a bit, and I don't think he was quite up to with what was required of him. And he was in and out of the team. But the last 3 games, he's got an assist against West Ham. He got an assist again today. You can't really call it an assist, but anyway, it goes down as an assist. So, but Gordon is back. I think he's fit again, or the injury he picked up with England is not bad, but he's back from his suspension. But Leicester, the next game, that's Barnes' old club. I don't think he's done anything to warrant being dropped, has he? So Gordon's probably going to have to kick his heels on the bench and wait to get back in.
Yeah, and I don't think Gordon can say much about it either, because it's his stupidity that kind of got him suspended for 3 games in the first place. He's had someone come in to replace him because of the necessity to come in and replace him. Barnes has been outstanding in the 3 games that he's played, and there were definite times today where I was actually wondering whether or not Barnes was feeling a bit of pressure that he had to score a goal or had to do something, where he seemed to be kind of snatching at some chances or taking on some chances that maybe weren't there. He seemed desperate to kind of prove himself, and I wonder whether or not that is like Gordon's back in the back of his mind, and he's wanting to hold down his place. But I don't see, he hasn't done anything wrong. He's played well. I think he deserves a run in the side, and I'd be very surprised, given Howe's track record, if Gordon comes straight back in for him. I think Gordon will have to earn that back again.
That's healthy competition, and that's exactly why Barnes was brought in. And the time he was bought actually was before Gordon became who he is now, and it was even before we knew if Gordon was going to be on the left. It wasn't clear where his main position was going to be, and it was after Saint-Maximin was sold. So I know there's been some questions about the money spent, fair enough, on Barnes, but he's a good player. He's always been a good player, and he's got output. He scores goals, he gets assists, and that's very, very valuable. And I think his work rate is picking up a bit, and he's probably just understanding a bit more now what's required of him in that specific role. So yeah, he's been really good, and it's nice to see that. Champions League is definitely in our hands, I would say. I know that Chelsea, let's have a look at the league table. We're sitting in 5th at the moment on 50 points. Chelsea, they play against Spurs the last match of this game week. So even if they draw, they'll go back above us. But a couple of the other teams down there, so Brentford had actually won 5 away games in a row before this game. So that shows you how good they've been lately. But they're down there in 11th. Bournemouth have had a really bad run, which is actually good for us. They haven't won in 7 now, I think it is. So we're now 6 points ahead of them. Fulham lost as well, so we're 5 points ahead of them, and we've got games in hand. Brighton took a bit of a pounding at home to Villa, which was probably a bit of a surprise result given the recent form of Brighton. But it's starting to space out a little bit now compared to what it was. There was a time about a month ago where everyone was within about 2 points of each other.
Yeah.
But we've done well, haven't we? Especially over the last 2 games, like I said, to put ourselves in this position where we're probably a good bet for 5th now. Chelsea have not been in good form since Christmas. They've only beaten, I think it's the 3 bottom teams at home, or 3 of the 4 bottom teams, or something like that. So they've not been in good form, and we've still got them to come at home as well. So there's 9 games to go now. The next 3 for us are Leicester away, and then we've got Man United at home next weekend, and then we play, it's Crystal Palace in the rearranged game, which is going to be our game in hand. How are you feeling right now about the Champions League prospects?
As you said, the last 2 games have really put us in the driving seat. It's in our hands. If we win the games that we need to win, then we finish 5th. We finish 4th, maybe even. We've got a game in hand, and if we win that, then we go above Man City, and we sit in 4th outright. I'd say, maybe a month ago, I think everyone would have snapped your hands off for that to be the situation as it is now. Tottenham can do us a huge favour. They seem to be back on the bounce a little bit. Sort of Ange's finally getting some players back fit, and he's getting a few results in the bag. Hopefully he can do us a favour and stop Chelsea going above us again, even though I really don't want Spurs to win. I just think, given the games that we've got left as well, we've got winnable games. And I think there's so many teams capable of taking points off each other now in the league. I think it's going to come down to fine margins. But if we can kind of put another couple of games together under our belt over the next few games, I think hopefully we can get a little bit of a gap between us, and sort of try and give that top 5 a good squeeze.
Yeah. We've got those 3 games, and then we've got Villa away. So it'd be really nice to be going into that Villa game with a bit of daylight between us and them, because I don't feel good about that, even though we beat them all the time. So I don't know why I feel bad about that. But Villa have also got both the FA Cup and the Champions League distractions still as well. Yeah. We've also got Brighton away, and everyone hates playing Brighton. So yeah, it'd be nice to be in a strong position by then. But I said before this game, if we can get 10 points from the next available 12, which would be 3 wins and a draw, I think that'll put us in a good position. We're going into each of these next 3 games as heavy favourites, though. So I think
that's usually where it goes tits up, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But that's why, that's why I think the last 2 games will give us confidence, because we've gone into those games as favourites and we've won, and they haven't been big wins, but that we've done it, and that's what you need to do. Leicester feels like it could be a banana skin, but it probably isn't going to be, because they're really, really bad.
Pretty shit.
Yeah. So there's a big problem if we can't beat them. But yeah, I think I'm feeling it's important for the club's progress to get in the Champions League. Like it's probably not important in the context of, is this going to be a good season or not, because it already is, but it is important for the progress. It's important to try and encourage the likes of Isak and Tonali to stay. They've both said, or Tonali especially has said, we want to be in the Champions League. It's not like 2 seasons ago where everyone was afraid to say it. Like this time it is the target.
Yeah,
it is the target, and I think we're in a good position to do it.
I think it's different. The players are all saying that, and I understand, like, people are using that as a sort of measuring stick of, well, we can get these players if they don't qualify for the Champions League. I think the players definitely want to. I don't think it's that, well, if we don't finish in the top 5 or we don't get Champions League, then I want to leave. I think they're just being honest that we all want to be in the Champions League for the club, for the fans. We want to push the club forward. So I take that as a huge positive. I think everyone's pushing in the right direction at the moment. But as you said, it's like the season as a whole couldn't have got any better for us with the cup win. From now on, it's all about, you know, progressing the club, giving us that platform to build on in the summer. And we're well aware of the last 3 windows. We've not done any business. We should, by all accounts, have a pretty hefty war chest for the transfer window in the summer. There's very much talk of us having a lot of money to spend even pre-end of June PSR window, which I'm thinking the club knew about and they were keeping their powder dry. So other clubs who maybe are forced to sell, we can actually get some decent players in and not have to overpay for them. And it puts us in the driving seat for that. But, you know, getting the Champions League, yes, keeping our current players, but also attracting new players who want to be in that position. It gives us a lot more flexibility. Obviously, the income, the advertising, the revenue, the exposure for future sponsor deals, that's all great. But it's that carrot on the end of the stick for new players to come in the summer, and to keep the players that we've currently got happy and pushing in the right direction. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, the last summer was disappointing in all sorts of different ways. the PSR thing, nobody wants to get in another situation where we're doing these dodgy deals with other clubs because everyone's in financial trouble. And we certainly don't want to be losing our best young players. And I don't think it's not going to happen again. So that's good. Paul Mitchell's in there now as well, so he's had more time. He's going to be a bit more settled. He's had 12 months to plan and prepare for this. And yeah, we'll know. We've had the bonus of the cup win and everything that means in all of those scenes, and other players are going to want to come and play with the players we've got as well. So the club's recruitment when we have been able to recruit, has been pretty astonishingly good. Even if you look back at the pre-Champions League summer, which didn't look good for about 12 months because Tonali got banned and Tino and Hall were finding the way into the team. And Barnes as well. That's looking pretty good now. So I think it's a long-term project still. And if we can just get over the line for the Champions League, it's probably just gonna turbocharge things again. So it's good to have this. It's good to have this target now to focus. So we're not going into the rest of the season on the beach after the cup final. Like a lot of clubs and probably some other managers would have done that as well. But that's not going to happen, and that's really good. And I think we saw good evidence of that today. And yeah, if we can get more goals like Sandro's goal, it's probably going to be goal of the season. Might be goal of the century. I don't know. People.
It's definitely up there with Dennis Bergkamp's in terms of did he mean it?
Did he mean it? Yeah. Did he mean it? Yeah. I don't know. Right. It's been a pleasure. Always good to talk about a win. We will be back. The Leicester game's on a Monday night UK time, so it's Tuesday morning for us. Yeah. So yeah. We'll be back after that, and we'll speak to you all soon. Take it easy.
Take it easy, mate. Catch you later.